I'm Rainbow the Clown, and welcome to the Circus of Horror. I am not wearing my usual face paint, but instead I went full green in honor of today's review of the one and only The Mask. Featuring Jim Carrey and Cameron Diaz, this film is not as dark as the actual comics themselves, but it's still one of the best comic book movies to date, and does not get a lot of acknowledgement nowadays. But despite the differences between comic and film, this film still boosted the careers of Jim Carrey and Cameron Diaz and created an epic film. So stick with me, boys and girls and kitties of all sizes, and join with me as we dive into The Mask. Our movie begins with an unlucky diver trying to open a chest who gets hit with a pole, and the mask continues to come out of the chest. We then jump to our main character, played by Jim Carrey, Stanley Ipkiss, who is a bumbling bank teller who got tickets for a girl he works with. But she stoops him into giving the tickets for her and a friend. Stanley's best friend, Charlie, does his best to try to cheer him up after the clear dumpage, and a storm begins, bringing in our lead female role. As Tina flirts with Stanley, he is completely oblivious to the camera she has placed in her bag, showing that only her boyfriend and our villain of the film, Dorian, wanting to rob the bank so he could overthrow the crime boss above him. Stanley goes to the mechanic shop in order to see if his car is done with his oil change, only to learn that the mechanics are stiffs and he'll have no car.
I have to have a car tonight.
Hey, yo! Bring around the loner.
The loner? The loner?
The loner? Yeah, I would rather walk than drive that piece of shit as well. The night goes as expected since Charlie gets into the club by bribing the bouncer, but Stanley does not, and he even gets thrown into the curb, splashed by water, made a fool in front of Tina, and forced once again to drive the shitty car that breaks down as Stanley tries to drive over the bridge. While feeling sorry for himself, Stanley sees a mess in the ocean. Assuming it's a person, he rushes down to help, only to learn that it's a pile of trash. But finding the mask, which he almost puts on.
What are you doing down there? I'm just looking for my mask.
When Stanley gets home, he gets yelled at and insulted by his landlady and sits down to watch some cartoons. He eventually changes it to Ben Stein talking about people putting on masks to hide from themselves. Stanley decides it's time to put the mask on for the first time. shenanigans begin as the Mask, known in the comics as Big Head, chases his alarm clock in the hallway, destroying it with a hammer. Being scared by the landlady, jumping out the window, making a roadkill joke, and getting honked at by a driver.
I think he wants to communicate.
The Mask runs into a gang and atomic wedgies the big guy and runs into an alleyway where he acts as a ticket vendor, giving the gang members balloons and making a Tommy gun appear out of nowhere. He also pays a visit to the asshole mechanics. The next morning, Stanley assumes it was all a dream until Lieutenant Kellaway knocks on his door, asking if he knows anything. He, of course, lies and is given Kellaway's card. Stanley tries to throw the Mask out the window, but it has other plans. At work, Stanley is chewed out for being late before we meet Peggy Brandt, who is doing a story on the events of the auto shop, and he acts dumb while she acts all flustered when she finds out he had sent a letter under the guise of nice guys finish last. Dorian goes to see his boss and learns the hard way that his boss does not take his actions well.
I get things like that, I start losing my concentration. My game, it goes straight to hell. You could too.
205 yards.
Forgot to call 4. We get a dream sequence of Ipkiss dreaming of Tina, which of course is interrupted by the cliche dog-licking joke, and we watch as Stanley pines over the girl he doesn't have. He also notices the Mask lying on the couch and decides, fuck it, and dives to put it back on. As the Mask, he cleans himself up, and since he needs money, robs the bank he works at before Dorian's men can. Our hero makes his way into the Coco Bongo by giving all the people waiting in line money. Tina gives us a good performance of the song Gee Baby, Ain't I Good to You? But our hero feels it needs a little more something.
Let's rock this joint!
I love this song! Hey, Pachuco! As the Mask and Tina dance to Hey, Pachuco, Dorian learns of the heist failure and that the guy responsible is in his club. Enraged, he shoots at our hero, stopping the fun. Of course our hero messes with the guy shooting at him, and Jim Carrey gives us one of the best Oscar speeches ever. The cops show up in order to give the Mask a way to escape. As the cops are arresting Dorian, the lieutenant notices a piece of Ipkiss's PJs that used to be the Mask's tie. Our cop heads straight to Stanley's place and gets nowhere with Ipkiss's lies. Dorian then releases a hit out on the green-faced man, and Stanley stands up to his boss.
We have a crisis on our hands here, and you stroll in over an hour late? If I have to put up with your slovenly behavior, you...
Back off, monkey boy! Before I tell your daddy you're running this place like it's your own personal piggy bank. Or maybe we should call the IRS and see if we can arrange a little vacation for you at Club Fat.
Tina visits Stanley at the bank and tells him about the Mask, and the night before, Stanley, of course, pretends to know who the Mask is and sets up a date for the night. Stanley then goes to visit Dr. Newman and tries to convince him about everything, but he learns the hard way the Mask only works at night.
Just sit back and enjoy the ride, Mr. Expert.
You don't scare me, Mr. Ipkiss. Go right ahead.
See ya.
said Loki was a night god. Maybe it only works at night.
Mr. Ipkiss, I feel I should warn you.
You, sir, are crazier than I am, and I am a clown. Stanley heads to meet Tina, and it isn't long before he turns back into the mask, who quickly tries to creepily seduce Tina. The cops show up and tell him that he's under arrest, and he does nothing to resist other than make jokes and handcuffs the two cops to get away. This starts one of the best scenes in the entire film.
It's all over, FTS. Put your hands over your head or we'll open fire.
Hit it!
Ooh, another song I love. This time I think we should do this.
They call me Cuban Pete. I'm the king of a rumba beat. When I play the maracas, I go chick chicky boom, chick chicky boom. Yes, sir, I'm Cuban Pete. I'm the craze, I'm a naked street. When I start to dance, everything goes chick chicky boom, chick chicky boom. The senoritas, they sing and they swing with their pero. It's very nice, so full of fine. And when they're dancing, they bring a happy ring that I quiero. Singing a song all the day long. If you like the beat, take a lesson from Cuban Pete, and that teach you to chick chicky boom, chick chicky boom, chick chicky boom.
He's a really modest guy, although he's the hottest guy in Havana.
See, senorita, I know that you would like a chicky boom chick. It's very nice, so full of spice. I place my hand on your hip, and if you will just give me your hand, then we shall try, just you and I.
Fat, shut up and help me down, all right?
And I teach you to chick chicky boom, chick chicky boom, chick chicky boom.
Start dancing, I'll blow your brains out. Give me that thing! Wow, see ya! There he is! Let's get a snap out of it! Come on, this dance is over. Let's go! Follow me, officer!
Okay, enough with the dancing. Back to the review. Stanley gets away as Peggy shows up in the nick of time to give him an escape. Our hero then tries to explain the situation to her, while she turns out to be a traitor who was just trying to befriend him to get the money from Dorian. Our villain then uses the mask for the first time.
Us. You better be careful, huh?
What a rush.
Whoa, boss. You okay?
Better than ever, you idiots.
Dorian's goons go to Ipkiss's place and steal the money. They then hand-toss him to the police, landing him in jail. The next day, Tina visits Stanley in prison and warns him about what Dorian's plan is. We learn the mask is representative based on the person wearing its personality. But bad luck is with Tina, as Dorian's men follow her and trap her, allowing him to force her to come with them. Stanley's dog Milo shows how much of an awesome dog he is.
Joe, please, do it for Daddy.
There's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
Stanley has Milo get the keys from the sleeping guard, and our hero forces the lieutenant to take him out of the station. At the Coco Bongo, a fight breaks out quickly between Dorian's men and his ex-boss Nico, as Dorian himself kills him. As Stanley sneaks into the club, Dorian ties Tina into a tree and sets up the explosives. Stanley is quickly caught by Dorian's men and brought to him. Tina asks for one final kiss before she's killed, and Dorian goes to deliver, but Tina kicks the mask away from him.
Give it one last thrill.
Stanley goes to save Tina while Milo runs with the mask but is attacked from behind. Milo puts the mask on while Stanley tussles with Dorian. After Stanley finally gets Dorian down, he rips the mask off of Milo and it gets shot out of his hand. He dives over the counter and reemerges as the mask. Shows off his gun power, swallows the bomb, and flushes away Dorian. Our movie ends with the cops coming in at the last minute, like they typically do. The mayor saves Stanley from the lieutenant. Stanley then decides it's time to toss the mask back where he found it, and in the end, he gets the girl as Charlie tries to dive for the mask.
Okay.
So there you have it, one of the best comic book movies out there, in my humble clowny opinion. So, what's next for our Circus of Horror 2015? Well, join me next week as we dive into the world of Goosebumps. Viewer beware. You're in for a scare.